At last, my warrior has come to Livestream. Oh man, their ears are gonna bleed. The first thing they hear when they come to our live stream is just gonna be like, "No, my bloody ears." And that'll be fine. That'll be fine. They know what they're getting into when they come over here. And welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is Sure Shot, and we are here for our weekly Week 32 live stream. That's right, 32 weeks of doing the Scissorman account and showing you it can be done on an account. Now, I know, my ears. Look at that's hilarious. Eden's like, ah. Yeah. Oh, sweet singing stream. No, it is not sweet singing. Yeah, some people like Cubs and Arnold can actually sing in real life. Really? Yeah, they're both actually really good singers, but Arnold is like professionally trained. Like, no kidding. Oh yeah, like he went to college for that actually. So,
trained, lawyer,
yep,
live stream,
yep, yeah, all of that talent wrapped into one curly-haired, goofing-looking brother. But I love him. He's awesome. Yeah, I love Arnold. He's a great guy. Have a good time anytime we hang out. I actually haven't got to hang out with him in like a year. Oh, wow. So yeah, I've seen Mobile a couple of times. Actually, Mobile came and visited here at the house, which was cool. And then he said he wants to move to where I live, which I found, I took that as a huge compliment because I was like, all right, you know, yeah. So that's pretty cool.
All because of you though, right? It was just because of you. It wasn't because of a nice place.
Yeah, not because of the place. It was because of me. Side note, you have some lavalier, however you say them, mics coming. And then I actually was gifted for my birthday a couple of kind of cheaper versions. And so when they come Thursday, tomorrow, I think I'm going to try and test them out. I have no idea if doing like lapel mics is going to be a better fit for us or if this professional mic will be better. We're going to probably play it out and see. You guys will get to be a part of that and get to see whether the lapel mics work better or not. But I think if we mic ourselves up, myself and him, we will be able to, you know, just speak freely without having to like pass the mic back and forth. And I think that would be great.
Your ears will be our guinea pigs.
Yep. Now, I think we're going to have a quality loss with lapel mics, no matter how professional grade or how amazing or, you know, whatever they are. I think that there's a dip in quality. So, but I think that I'm okay with that as long as it's at a certain level of quality, because it would be fun to be able to, you know, each have our own mic and just not worry about this. Plus, it's one less thing in our face. Like, you don't have a microphone in our face, and then when our buddy comes, we won't block his face with the mic. You know what I mean? So all right. So Scissorman. So really quick, someone said, on Twitter, they were like, yo, dude, he's like, I started 3 weeks after you. I've been following your free-to-play guide, and holy Batman, you are almost 2 million, and I just hit 1 million. And a couple other guys that did it are at like 1.3, 1.4 million. And like, how do you get the other 500,000 more? So I looked at their magic. Yeah, one of them, I went ahead and got it, and I looked at their ships, and I found that they like have no ships. And so one of the things is ships adds 50% of your GP, and I am a ships fiend in real life, like on my main account. And so of course I've got a huge focus on ships. I mean, look at all these level 85 ships I have. I have 20 20, because I have like 5 rows of level 85 ships, more than that actually. And so I have a massive focus on ships, and then I have a bunch of characters that are like gear 8 because of it, because I had to get them to a certain level to be able to get certain abilities unlocked on the ship. So I've got a lot of like mediocre development on the side that a lot of other people don't need or don't want to have to do. I'm all about getting like all the ships unlocked and getting all the characters. And I wanted to do that.
Catch 'em all.
Yeah, gotta catch them all, kind of like Pokemon. And there's not even like I don't need Ahsoka Tano's Starfighter. I don't use it for anything, but she's gear 10 now. By the way, my Galactic Republic just kind of fell out of nowhere, and Padme, I just accidentally got Padme at 6 stars with my Geos, because I've had Geos since the beginning. And that was kind of like a, yay, there's a reward for loving crappy characters and then being reworked. But then all of a sudden I was like, well, now I got to gear up Anakin and Padme, and I had General Kenobi already. And so I was like, well, I've got them. So I started to gear them, and you know what? God bless the old school characters from the original part of the game, because their gearing, I remember thinking back in the day, like, these characters suck to gear. No, they don't. No, they don't. These characters are easy peasy lemon squeezy in comparison to the new characters. The new characters, it's like, we'll throw 5 Carbantes, 3 stun guns, a couple of cuffs, and a bunch of new gear you can't even get without farming for a week. So there you go. Padme's stuck at gear 10, and I got Anakin in less time to gear 11. So yeah, I know, right? I'm like, what the heck? But this is my ships. I forget to sometimes go in here and show people how highly developed my ships are for my free-to-play account. In fact, I went into Grand Arena Championships, and I looked at everyone's rosters, and I got some people with crazy rosters. All of them suck at ships. Every single one of them have crap ships. So the problem is that means their GP, they're at almost 2 million GP. Their GP is character represented. Mine is not. Mine is 50-50. You know what I mean? Like, half of it's ships, half of it's characters. So
They go and take ships out of Grand Arena.
yeah, and then they took ships out of Grand Arena. Like, unfair, totally unfair, because I'm being judged on my GP total for who I'm getting classified with, but then I don't get to actually bring my ships into it, and so I'm getting paired up with other people, and so they take the top, 60 characters or whatever. But then the other thing was, the last round I was in, I was 1.4 million or below on the last Grand Arena, which happened to be a couple months ago, for the record, when that first launched, which is crazy that in a few months you can get almost 500,000 GP. But they had me paired up like under 1.4 mil, and I did really, really, really well, because I literally missed Kyber by 180 points. I know that was tough, but I did really, 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 really well, because everybody was kind of new and in the same boat. But I didn't get to use my ships, even though half my GP came from that. And now I'm in the 2 million bracket, 2 million or below bracket, and I've got people with Darth Revan and Malik already. In fact, my first team the first group I'm gonna have to go against, the very first guy I have to go against is got both Revans, Malik. Like, he's under 2 million. I don't know, it's crazy. So I couldn't get there, not from when I started, but it looks like he's a spender. I looked, his ships are trash. He has like nothing in ships, like literally nothing. And then you go to his arena and he's like 480th. So he's not focused on ships at all like I am. But I got my crystals from ships, and as free to play, that's really the easiest place to get them, because that meta doesn't change as long. Once you earn the ships, you can kind of get up and stay up and earn your spot. So it's much easier to get 400 crystals there than it is 500 crystals in arena. So those are my ships. You can see I got Biggs. I'm still developing Biggs because he's a tank. I've only got him gear 10, looking to get him gear 11. Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's, the Ebon Hawk. Back when I first started, the Ebon Hawk was that double drop thing where like you did those nodes and it automatically gave you the Ebon Hawk. And so I got the Ebon Hawk given to me, but I didn't have the characters. Well, now I'm farming those characters for, Darth Revan, and Revan, I farmed the other one up for Revan. And then, of course, I have my Han's Millennium Falcon, Slave 1. I've got my Geos. I've got Ghost. And what's funny is Phantom 2, I know I need to develop the characters more, like Chopper, although I don't care about Chopper, honestly. But Sabine, I know I need to finish her up, man. I really do, because her ability gives multiple, well, it not only cranks up the damage and speed and stuff of the ship, but it actually gives more ability or target locks, because when she gets this ability locked out, she ends up getting more target lock, and it's a better chance of target lock and all of that, plus speed down, and that's pretty good. So I really need to get her leveled up. So much to do. Cassian, It's funny. I use this ship as my backup. His backup's maxed. His 2 abilities, the ship's abilities, are both maxed. Jin is crap and K2SO's crap, but I got Cassian to gear 10. I need him gear 11 to do the next 2 tiers, so that's kind of why I got to get him gear 11 to get these next 2. So I got to get him to gear 11, but he's a bit hard to farm. Actually, his gear is actually really bad. It's been really bad. I mean, look at this. Look at that. That was a Mark 8. I know. Like, he's only at gear 10. What the heck? I mean, look at this. A Carbonti, that was a Mark 5. Luckily, those I get a little bit easier. And these are a little difficult. The med pack. I mean, this is gold gear at gear 10, not even gear 11. At gear 10, he's requiring gold already. And look at this. Another eyeball and another eyeball. That is 4 gold pieces to get him to gear 11, which is why I'm struggling. And then, of course, a Mark 6 furnace, which this isn't horrible, but this isn't super easy.
Side note on Cassian, I know everybody probably has heard the announcement of Kenobi getting his own TV series, Ewan McGregor coming back. Has anybody else heard about Cassian getting his own TV series?
Yes.
I did not know this, so that just kind of brought it up there looking at him because he's pretty puny on my account, but I didn't think that was actually going to happen. I didn't know that he was interesting enough, and unfortunately, kind of like, Kenobi, we already know his end game. We already know what happens to him, but I mean, we already know what happens to Cassian, so it's not like there's going to be a whole lot of like, oh, I wonder what happens in the future, but maybe, what happened in the past might be interesting, so we'll see.
That's pretty awesome. By the way, Kent Perrier, probably, because it's probably a French last name, but maybe I'm butchering it. It looks like Perrier. Kent says that he actually figured out that we were in the same leaderboard by checking out the leaders. That's kind of cool. And then Azarius says, thanks a lot for your last advice about Jedi Revan mirror matches. Worked like a charm. Do you have something similar for Darth Revan mirror matches? Yeah, for Darth Revan mirror matches, even when I'm slower on my main account and I get debuffed first, what I do is I very carefully just continue going after the tank because I know the tank's going to eventually taunt again and I'll get stuck behind it, and you want to be able to finish it off with some finishing moves. So I just keep hitting the tank with basics until that one debuff falls off, the corrupted battle meditation. The moment that corrupted battle meditation falls off, I go crazy with all my specials and I win probably 70% of the time, even being slower and not having that. And so mirror matches are all about being patient, waiting for the right timing. I mean, if you use a special and you got corrupted battle meditation, nothing you do is going to work. So you're just wasting those very precious abilities that can do some mad damage. And sometimes they get shock landed, and sometimes they do wild lightning, and sometimes everyone dies on your team, and sometimes you just can't win for losing kind of thing. But RNG is in there, and sometimes you're going to get those. You're going to resist. Sometimes I get my Bastila to resist the corrupted battle meditation right off the bat, and everyone gets debuffed for her, and then I'm able to put the debuffs back on their team, and then their team is kind of neutered until my team is able to, do that. So, yeah, exactly.
Works 100%.
Yeah. And then Kant asks another question. He says, does leveling a character's ability increase the strength of a ship abilities? Yes, and yes. You really, have it. Not only are the abilities of the ship tied to their gear level, you can't even do an ability as you increase the gear of the character, it contributes more health, protection, speed, and damage to the ship. There are tiers of GP. So it's not like every single thing you do changes the ship's stats, but if you notice, if you go from like having level 3 abilities to level 4 abilities, you'll notice the ship has more health, more protection, more speed. So yeah, everything you do is going to make a difference for sure. Barrett says, do you have a recommended Zeta order for clones and Shock T? Well, I think both the Shock Ts are important. And then I personally feel like Fives and Echo are the two that really need to be focused on. Fives has 2 Zetas and Echo has 1. And I did Echoes before 5's second Zeta, but I have both the Shock Ts first. And then Magical Senpai says, which Zetas are necessary for the clones when you rank them in importance? And I think the new unique one for Fives, both the Shock Ts both, Echo, and Fives is new unique. The new one, not the old one. The one I zated, they made sure to keep it basically the same so I wouldn't get a refund. So whatever. That's fine. I'll have to double zeta that bad boy now. So.
No road testing that.
Yep. So there's a lot of questions coming in, but I really want to get to playing, and maybe you can answer some of those questions. I want to show the rest of my roster because I feel like we're not completing anything today. So let me get kind of into it. I want to showcase kind of what I have in here and why I'm doing it. First, GeoBrood Alpha. I'm now trying to finish him to 7 stars. I kind of went back and forth. I was going for Canderous, and then Canderous got to 5 stars, and he was way ahead of the pack for all the other characters that are Old Republic. So I switched over to GeoBrood when he came out, and then I did GeoBrood, and then I accidentally got Padme. So then I had to switch over to Anakin, and then I got Anakin to 6 stars, and I thought, you know what? He's 6 stars. He's good enough for now because Padme's 6 stars as well. Let's go ahead and move back to Geo, because the thing is GeoBrood Alpha, if he's gear 12, or if he's gear 12 and if he's 7 star, he builds a 7-star gear 12 tank. And so he's really clutch for the 6th character that's created. And so that's really, really important. And then, of course, Bastila, I got to gear 8, and gear 8 just basically popped completely for me. There's only like gear 9. When I got to gear 9, if you look, gear 9, I got her barely to gear 9. Finally took me a while. And then this, easy. This, easy. You know what I mean? Like this, easy. Like what the heck? I know, look at this. And these Mark 8s are easy. So she was weird. It was like you go hard to get to gear 9, and then as soon as I got to gear 9, it was like gear 10 already. And this one, easy. So this one isn't hard at all either. So her gear 9 is actually a gimme. Really easy gimme. Kind of surprised in that. So that's cool. I got Chief Chirp at a gear 9. He's my leader, so I tried to get him up first gear-wise. I've kind of pittered out on him because he's requiring a lot of good stuff like the stun guns and cuffs and carbantes and things like that. So he's kind of stuck right now. I got HK to gear 9, and same thing. He's starting to ask for some difficult stuff.
Had some hard asks.
Yeah, I've got Elder and Poplu, both 7 stars, gear 8 and gear 7. They went up to gear 8 and 7 pretty easily. Logray and Wicket are my 2 6 stars. Of course, I'm trying to get them for C3PO. I know that's coming back soon, and my goal is a 6-star C3PO this first time around, and then my goal the second time around is to get him 7-star. With my gear, I'll be lucky if I get a 5-star, and that's okay for now. But just keep plugging along, right? We just keep working and doing their best. And at some point you just have to put them in your favorites and start gearing them. And I'll be honest, I was at like 1.6, and then I started doing Old Republic and the Old Republic and the Ewoks, and I went from 1.6 to 1.9. Like I got 300,000 GP from these 2 rows plus a few ships. And I was just like, like that's what I didn't want to do was fluff my GP, but whatever.
Maybe if you're like me in this situation where especially your favorites, you feel that it's easier to farm everything, and then you go through all of them and you get 7-star, but then it comes to suddenly back to their gearing where you have a 7-star gear 8, 9 character, whatever, and you're like, yeah, I don't really want to gear anymore. Suddenly that's where like my ambition kind of putters out a little bit there. I've got 3 sitting in the top spots of my favorites, and they're all 7-star now, but all sitting at like gear 7, 8, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'll eventually get to that Mark 5 stun gun. Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. So I hear you, because, like I got my Rogue One to like gear 8 and I quit. I got like Phoenix to gear 8 and quit.
Good enough.
And, well, they are good enough for most of the TB, and for ships, they're still good enough. So it's really hard to want to put any more into them, especially with so many different things to focus on. This is why it's really fun to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, and actually play this out and see. For this, official thing, I like I said, I don't think at this moment I could get even a 5-star C3PO, but I am glad to finally get my Ewoks, because now I can soon put some mods on them. I haven't done that yet, but put some mods on them and get their abilities up. What I want to do is get their abilities up first, and then put their mods on, but I don't want to put mods on until I have their abilities kind of at least to like 7, maybe not the Omegas, but for now, but the abilities. And then of course, Old Republic, Jahani, Canderous, and Karth, working on those 3 as well. Hermit Yoda, and I am going to go ahead now that I have a gear 10 5-star Wampa. I'm going to focus on gearing up Hermit to like gear 10-ish. That 10 is probably 9 or 10 will be my staging point. He's really, really fast, even at a lower gear, and he goes stealth, and so he's a support character, so I'm not as worried about his gear. But I want to finish him. I'm going to take him now to 7 stars before Wampa, and the reason is I have multiple Jedi teams, Galactic Republic teams, like they all dipping into the same Jedi pool, making it really difficult for me to know kind of how to divvy up and divide up my teams.
They all want one here.
Yeah, they all want multiple characters like Yoda. They all want Yoda, and it's like, so I'm getting Hermit Yoda up so that way I'll have another Jedi. He's a really great support. He's kind of like a General Kenobi because he brings mass. He brings cleanse and mass attacks and things like that. Now the bottom 3, Shock T, Rex, and Echo, I threw in there all willy-nilly last night, and it's not because I'm hyper focused on them or trying to go for them at all or anything like that. Why I did that was because Rex and Echo actually drop in a couple of different stores and have been for a while now, and I just ignored them. But now that they are, the 501st is actually legit good. When they drop in those other stores casually, I will purchase those shards until I have those characters leveled up. And then once I get them to like, 5 stars or above, then I'll probably turn my focus towards them. But I just want to passively, if you have the little yellow flag on them, when they're in the stores, they'll actually mark it, hey, you need this thing. And so I'm trying to make sure that like I'm putting the flags on anybody who I want to passively. I did this with Logray and Poplu and stuff early on. I kind of flagged them so that way whenever they showed up in the guild store that I would buy them out of the guild store, even though I didn't worry about Ewoks for 6 months. So that way, and now I'm worried about, and now I'm worried about Ewoks, and the only one I have left is Logray, 48 shards of Logray, which will take another 6 months, but but anyway, so those are my focuses. I'm still, I know it's been weeks and I said I'm going to get a gear 13, but I'm no closer to this. I have 2 of them. I still need these. And I still need these, and I'm at 21. Whenever I have like a little bit of end energy, I'm just like, I got to get rid of it. Before bed or something, I'll spend it on this. I don't know. This is going to take me a while because that's, 30 and 40 pieces. That's about 70 pieces that don't drop so well. If I focused on it for like 3 days straight, I could probably do it. But I got so many things so many irons in the fire, so to speak, that I don't know. Yeah, I don't know when I'll get him to gear 13. So that's all right. Not too worried about that. So when you see the 501st in here, it's not a hyper focus or anything like that. It's just, I had taken 5s out of my favorites, but 5s is actually, and I'll put him back in. He was actually, I was focusing on him because of ships, because I do everything for ships, right? And he was gear 8 actually. So, I actually have some decent gearing for him.
On the way, looking good.
Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of where we're at. I know we got a plethora of questions. Let's go ahead and try and zip through those really quick, get caught up, and then we're going to start playing our dailies and stuff. So I'm going to give it to you. You can go ahead and ask some questions. I'm just going to play while you answer questions. If you think you can answer it, answer it. If we've already answered it, refer back to previous answers. And then if you think you need to ask me, just ask me.
Alrighty. I'll do my best. Jefe, would you say that I have a plethora of piñatas?
A plethora.
I don't know what that means, El Guapo. All right, I did notice a couple people here had already gotten buried, but I think we just got into those before it got to that little cutoff point there. So who do we have next here? We already got to Perrier, Kent. Yep, down there. Where are we at? Yeah, right there. Already got the Zeta orders for all those guys. All right, and we're back.
And welcome back.
Yuanaja. Hey. Would you still recommend people following your fleet strategy to switch from Geos to Millennium Falcon / Rebels, given the potential upcoming meta change?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's just stick with it.
Always do what's known. Don't do what's unknown. Yeah. Because I can't tell you how many times I did what was unknown. Luckily, I had a pay-for account, and I was able to just absorb the loss of me guessing wrong. So always, on my free-to-play, I do what's known. And then once something becomes known, like the 501st is now known to be good, if you want to focus on them, you know what you're getting. But I know the Geos are top-notch meta early to mid-game. I know the Millennium Falcon is meta to this day and every shard. So those are knowns. You should definitely have them. And even if they became the second best meta, they would still be the second best meta, and you should have that. And you probably need them anyway to get the first best meta. That's kind of how it works.
At least you'd have the roster depth. I always like to go for pretty much any character, and you can get them up to, whatever level that, like level 50 them, get their abilities up a little bit, ships and characters. So that way you can at least be at that point where they're started, but not overly invested for something that you're thinking about in the back of your mind. I'm about to sit here and endure more great Cantina drops for you. Ha! There. Take that one and rub your...
That's all right. I still got 7, so not bad.
Yeah, whatever. I think, not even going to go into my account. That's just depressing. So, who's next here? Michael Salins? Yeah, I'm just going to butcher everybody's name today. It'd be fun. What if I were to farm SIT, Sith Troopers, or Sith Trooper and Alpha, both in Cantina? Would you recommend farming both of them at the same time, or focus on one at a time?
Really depends on who's in your team as to which one you're going to farm. If you need Sith Trooper for your arena team, then by all means you need to finish that. But if you've got some really good Geos and you don't have the Alpha yet, your Geos are worthless for the most part without him. So you'd need to get him at least 5 stars, gear 11, and then you could move over to Sith Trooper. So yeah, like I did, you saw I kind of went him and then Anakin and then him and then Anakin and then him and then I'll go back to Anakin. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I kind of like 5 star as a staging point before I go back to something, because I don't want to 3-4 stars is not normally enough for what you're trying to do. So get Sith Trooper to 5 stars. You can put a ton of protection on him at 5 stars and then go over and get Alpha up and running. And then let's see. Bass Reich says his turn order for Admiral ship is rely to all the ships engaged to the battle. No, the Admiral ship, I think I know what you're asking. That is based off of your Admiral Akbar. So like the leader of that ship defines the speed. So if his gear is maxed out, your ship's going to have maxed out speeds. So that's where that comes from. And then Sev says, what's up? And then we got a donation from Eden, says, good luck for the Grand Arena Championships. Pretty awesome. Pretty excited about that. And then someone really quick asks, is the Echo bundle worth it? No, none of the bundles are worth it. They never are when they're $14.99 for like 50 shards or 80 shards or whatever. They're never worth it, but they do give you a 2-week farm instantaneously. So if you're a whale or a dolphin and you want to accelerate your farming for a character, obviously it's exactly what its intended use is for. But as far as like its value, there's not a lot of value in those packs at all. That's a lot of natural farming you could do over time and save yourself money.
Yeah, packs like that are just kind of like the unneeded sequels of movies, like John Wick, The Matrix, just blatant cash grabs. There's just really no point, no reason to them. So just, yeah.
Hey now, John Wick gets better and better and better. The last John Wick was absolutely amazing.
We're not going to get into debate on this show right now about that. That'd take an entirely different live stream, different channel, all of that. But I'm sorry, no.
But have you seen the last one?
I have not seen the last one. I wasted my time on the second one. I'm not a common fan. That was a whole big waste of time for me as well. I'm glad that he died in it. But anyways, spoilers. Just no need for that. You have a complete story altogether. There's no need to go off that. I can see what they did with The Matrix a little bit, but when you have that many cast members die, when it takes that long to get to the sequel, you might as well just call it dead. And I hear there's a 4th one going to be coming out for that one too. So just, ouch. Hurts as bad as looking at that too.
Yeah.
That's Wicked too, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, man. I did get some better drops when I had my account on here, so at least being on the live stream does show that somebody's paying attention and like, oh crap, they're paying attention, kick that up real quick. But yeah, that's sometimes just painful to watch. That's why I kind of like to block that out over here. So, questions? That's not a whole lot right now. Ben Parker, what speed is your Jedi Knight Revan at?
Slow.
Somewhere not in the 300s?
Yeah, no. So he gets like 30 or 40 speed. I think he's got, 10, 20, 30, 40. He gets 40 speed from his leadership. So, I mean, that is that. So, I mean, that's good. But so does everybody else that's running Jedi Knight Revan. He's slow. He's 296, and that's with all the Gear 12 Plus pieces. I mean, everything but the Gear 13. So 296, and with 40, he's 336. So the good news is he can...
Slow?
Yeah, for my arena now, sadly, even on my free-to-play account, everyone's rolling in like 330 Darth Revens now. They've got like 140, 150 speed sets now. I don't. If you look, my fastest speed set is on him, and that's 136. 136 for the fastest speed set is atrocious. That's actually terrible. Well, for this level, it should be, I mean, I don't know. I just didn't expect other people to have that good of mods already. Right. The only thing that's even feasible is if they're chasing a greasy bull. No, I'm just kidding. They're that's Bubba Sparks. No, I'm just kidding. Probably nobody even knows who that is. Hold on one second. Let me pass you over.
Let's see. Somebody else agreed with you about John Wick 3. I guess, I don't know. Explain this to me. In John Wick 2, why go through all the effort to get your car back when apparently it was still stolen again? I don't remember how it got stolen again. I was kind of confused about that part. But why get it back just to go and destroy it? Just to go and just mutilate that poor vehicle into nothing and then somehow have it start back up and drive away. Ridiculous.
So it got stolen, and
in the first one.
And he liked the car, right? It was his baby, but it's the principle, my friend. They killed his dog and they took his car, and like the car probably wouldn't have even been a big deal except for they killed his dog. So it's like at this point he's principled. I have to go kill him. Okay with it. It was really, really good. But part 3 is basically his redemption, you know, because part 2 tells the story of him falling away from the Assassin's Guild, like as the group, and kind of breaking rules, and then being wanted himself, and that puts him on the outskirts. And then, of course, now in part 3, he has to have that road to redemption, and that's a very interesting thing. I loved it, and the thing this is why I like John Wick. Bottom line, I'm gonna call this out. It is one of the best current martial arts / three-gun competition style movies in the world.
That was almost one of my favorites with it.
And this is why John Wick is not just an actor, you know. Keanu Reeves in real life does three-gun competition and is amazing. Better than most. I mean, he's phenomenal. He's not just an actor who plays, you know, fake whatever with guns. He practices martial arts extensively, and he's a phenomenal competitor in the three-gun arena. So when I see him on the big screen doing all of this stuff, it's not fake. It's legit. He's doing things that are solid. Like, that is exactly what you should be doing with that, or that's what you should be doing with that. And he gets so freaking hurt all the time. Like, they don't make it where he's like Superman, where he doesn't get hurt at all. Like, he gets shot and stabbed, and he just pushes through his injuries. So that's why I love it. But let's see. Darth Mar says he gave me a donation. Thanks, by the way. He said, if you think is spoiler, don't answer thoughts about the new episode 9 teaser trailer. I thought I'd ask you guys. So I don't know. That's kind of a teaser. I don't really want to talk about it yet because a lot of people may not know, but there is a new episode 9 trailer out there, and they make it look like something's going to happen that people might not like, or some people might like, with Rey. And so I was pretty excited about it. The Swiss Army knife Rey. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Swiss Army saber. Yep, love it. Now, also realize too, in a lot of these trailers, that when you see stuff like that, it is to get emotion out of you. It is to shock you. But in these movies, they do like to go into visions a lot. So it is a possibility that you're seeing a possibility that may not happen, or something that they want to try to avoid later on too. So don't automatically jump on the bandwagon about everybody going evil because you see red all over the place. You're just doing that to tease you, to keep your interest, because they know they got to keep people's minuscule attention spans there until December. So my thoughts on a lot of that stuff could go much deeper than that, but again, don't have the time for all that. But to jump back to the John Wick 3 or John Wick thing, I've trained for, and I made a small attempt at getting into three-gun competitions until I realized that I have nowhere near the money to keep up with that, because my gear and setup and all that, I was into 10 grand before I got to the point where I was still. I love firearms. I love what that does for the community to put it into a Hollywood movie. I don't know what they were trying to get at, though, in that whole scene in the second one where he was, going to that gun store and ordering up everything. He wouldn't call any gun by its name. He was asking for brunch, dinner, dessert. He was throwing out all these different terms. I can see on the seedy underground of things they're trying to go for that. But I was also wondering too, where it's like this is a gun-laden movie, and in this current political climate where people are just bonkers over anything that has any common sense about that, I wondered if they were just trying to skate that middle line there or not. So I didn't know what they were trying to go for there, but there's a little bit of a cheese factor in the sense that he pretty much walked around and set himself up a 3-gun competition shooting course. I mean, did he really think that every bad guy was going to run into that course and he was going to be able to have all his targets lined up beforehand? I mean, there was a cool aspect to it, but knowing what 3-gun competition is, I just kind of thought that was a really interesting plug to put in there. I didn't think the two were very cohesive together. As cool as it was to see him running around rocking 3 different firearms. So looks like we might be having some streaming problems here, so apologize for any herky-jerkiness there. I hope that you are picking up all of my banter and content and saltiness here because, that's just all part of what makes this show right now. Jumping onto a different note, somebody's asking about, Mario Ramos is asking about excited for the Mandalorian series. Yes, more so than I've been excited about anything Star Wars related in a while because, yes, I feel like there's a lot of other blatant cash grabs. I like the offshoot Star Wars movies better than the mainstream ones. I like a lot of what's going on there, especially Jon Favreau being at the helm. I really like Pablo Escobar, no, was his real name, Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. So he was, I think it was a good choice for that. I'm excited about that all around because I like it when they're kind of outside of the mainstream. They have more freedom to go with actual storylines and actually keeping the fans happy. So, I think it's an all around good thing. Happy for it. Let's see, might have another question here. Michelangelo, hello again. Where it presents watch the Raid and the Raid 2 if you love real action movies. These are Indonesian films, yes, on Netflix now, and are probably the best real action movies I've ever seen. I have seen parts of the first Raid, and I've not seen the Raid 2 yet. When I was trying to get them, they were not on Netflix. I had to go on Kodi. I had to go on Views, the backdoor stuff. I had to try and download the torrents and all that, and I couldn't get one that was English dubbed. I do occasionally watch anime and other things in subtitles, but sometimes in movies like that where they talk so freaking fast and I can barely keep up with it, and if I find myself reading more than I'm actually watching the movie and the action, then I can't get into the story, so I watch it. So if they're actually English dubbed on top of that, then I'll have to go check those. It's fully automatic and definitely, not to mention too that you can shoot somebody 15 times and they can live, I mean, except unless you're John Wick, because you can get hit by vehicles, you can get punched numerous times, multiple concussions throughout one day, stabbed, walking around bleeding, barely able to do anything, and all of a sudden you can go fight the end boss who's supposed to be better than everybody else. But, still got to have some Hollywood in there, don't we? Michelangelo again. Sure shot, don't you ever use the word dubbed again. Always subtitles. I agree, yes. If you're looking for, I agree to an extent. If you're looking for the actual story content and what they were intending, they have a hard time translating words that they don't have for like we do, so we throw in extra stuff, we spice the story up a little bit when we do a dub, but when the subtitles are moving so fast, you have to read more than watch the movie. That's when I can't get into it. Greg Mack wants to know, do you think Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes will get characters from The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Absolutely. I think they're going to try and take every excuse they can to try and throw new characters in there. They love the fact that we go nuts farming and gearing and everything else and throwing money at it whenever a new character comes up. So when they got this much material to work with, we can just kind of see a steady flow of that in the future, I'm sure. Captain Percy, Sure Shot has a good home guild. Home guild? Do I? Oh, Percy, Darth Percy, what's up, man? That took a second here. I haven't had enough coffee yet this morning. I'm glad that Warrior talked for a while to give me a chance to actually wake up, because it would have been interesting for a while there. What's your thoughts on that, Sure Shot? My thoughts on Clone Zetas. Well, I'm not working with the clones at all, or Shaak Ti, so now that there's more viability in them, I could probably do that, but I'm a legendary character whore, and that's pretty much just who I go after the entire time and what occupies all of my free-to-play time. So when it comes to outskirts teams and that, and not the meta, and not big time arena teams, which they could be, it doesn't get my attention yanked away from those guys long enough, especially being at the back of the line in my shard and playing catch up in a lot of ways. I'm always behind the buck, so as new things come out, I have to enjoy them for a little while, let everybody else test them out, figure out what the good matchups are and what the good synergy is, and then I go and rob from them and try and make it worthwhile afterwards. So basically, I'm just a guy that sits back and watches everybody else screw up first, and then I go and do the best thing possible. They're trying to steal me. Who's that? Maybe I need to read back further in some of the questions here.
Somebody was offering you a spot, I think.
Oh, okay.
And your guild is telling him back off. Hey, look at this.
Pretty comfortable right now.
Have you ever been credit poor? Well, look no further. Warrior is at 200 credits. 200. You can't do anything with 200 credits. And Basti's gear up and abilities up. Those are the two. So side note, anyone asks for Darth Revan, like, okay, Darth Revan, what do I have to do? When they ask that, they're not whales, because whales just take everything to gear 11 and 12 right away, right? So when someone asks you, what do I need to do gear-wise? They're free-to-player dolphins looking to invest minimally in the next step. Well, the next step to get Darth Revan is Gear 7/Gear 8, except for HK and Bastila. You'll want both of them Gear 9 minimum. Yes, of course, eventually you're going to want all your characters for Revan and Darth Revan up to Gear 12 so you can get Malak, and you're going to use those teams long term. But that's not what people are asking. They didn't say, how do I get Malak? They say, how do I get Darth Revan? Darth Revan is a Gear 7/Gear 8 for the characters. So like Juhani at Gear 8 is sufficient right now. Canderous at Gear 7 is sufficient, but I'll probably take him to Gear 8. And then Carthonasi, I'll probably take him to Gear 8. But he's a leader and a really good character. So, of course, eventually I'll continue on with all of these characters for Darth Malak. But for Revan, my gear right now for HK and Basti are good. Juhani is good. And then Canderous and Karth are the only two that need to go up a little. Canderous I'll take to 8, and Karth I'll take to 8. And that's it. So I've got, about 15 medium to easy pieces to put in, and then I'll be done with my gearing. So it just comes down now to a star check and getting the stars enough that I'll be able to get him. Because I want Darth Revan. And then once I have Darth Revan, I can focus on the Revan and Darth Revan teams and getting both teams to Gear 12 and modded correctly. And then I can start worrying about Malak and his event and stuff. But steps after steps, right? I just find it funny. People are like, they're on the Facebook group. There's like 60,000 people on that group. And someone will be like, I'm just trying to figure out the gear levels needed for Darth Revan. Could you guys help? What they want is like Gear 8, Gear 9. They want that answer. Yep. And instead everyone's like, yeah, you're going to need them all Gear 12 for Malak. So stop, you guys.
One day, eventually.
You stop.
Yes.
Like, that's not what they asked. They didn't ask, hey, in the future, someday in a year when I'm, going for Malak, what should I have my Darth Revan team at? They're asking what to get Darth Revan at. I don't know. Sometimes people don't listen to the question at hand. But all right, I'll give you back so you can keep working the questions. I'm getting closer to being done with my dailies.
Yeah. We had one question hidden here. I'm not sure exactly why, but was saying I should just go ahead and see John Wick 3. To get back to that, I am hypercritical. I will speak my mind. I will word vomit all over the place about certain movies. Doesn't say I don't like them. Doesn't mean that I won't watch them either. So even though I'm definitely getting around to that. And yeah, I guess it was Robert Arnold who asked if...
That's Rob.
Yeah,
That's
Rob was saying something about having an open spot in your guild. So I get it now. I'm back up to speed. Yeah, just slow sure.
Force Canada. Woot. Force Canada. Hey, speaking of Force Canada, we've got Warbringer, who's from Force Canada, and Desirab, who's my guild leader, and Warbringer's awesome. They're patrons, but they're also in my guild. They come up with a really amazing strategy for territory battles, Geonosis, because we're only at like 140 million participating GP. I'm not even sure if we have a full 140 million participating right now. We're pretty lean, if you want to call it that. We got about 40 people and we're real lean in who's in and kind of what we're focused on. So I kind of want to go over the strategy. I know they're probably going to be like, why? But it's actually very smart, super smart. And I wanted to talk about it because I think it's pretty awesome. So with the Geonosis territory battle, the problem is you get in it and you start working through it. And on day 2, you can go pretty good. Day 3, you can go pretty good. And then on day 4 is basically trash for a guild like ours because it just makes it nearly impossible to get up to the amount to win anything, to actually get any kind of points, to get any kind of stars. So their strategy was to actually intentionally lag, and get the second star at the beginning and throw away day 4 and basically give us 2 days in day 1 and then, and do that strategy so we can get more stars in the earlier and easier levels. And I was like, genius. This is super genius.
You want me to be the typical white girl in any horror movie and keep on tripping and falling behind? Oh, okay. I guess I can do that. That's easy.
Yeah. And so really, really awesome. We're going to go to 3 stars here. So they want everyone to finish the battles and then to deploy. And we're hoping that with all the deploying and everything, we'll get 3 stars there. And then we want to get as well 3 stars here. We did open up day 2 and we have the middle one, which we're not worried about yet. Okay, we're okay with giving up 1 or 2 days of progress to max out the easier stars on the lower levels. And then, of course, we're going to get a star here. This will be pretty easy. So I like the strategy because we're kind of throwing away day 4 by allowing us to max out more stars in day 1 and 2 and putting ourselves a little behind the curve. But, those latter days are super hard to get stars anyway. So we'll see if the strategy works out or not. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the original and we'll just get 1 stars and unlock and go all the way to the end like we did before. But the cool thing is tomorrow we'll progress to the Ackley mission, and you know what I mean? We'll get those opportunities. So that's really cool. I like the strategy that they put out on this. It looks pretty cool. Frank Brown says that they have the same strategy, basically.
Looks like our guilds are having a conversation back and forth.
Yeah. All the leaders from my guild are in watching the stream, so that's pretty funny. And then you've got some guys that hopped in. So everybody's asking for those eyeballs, the Mark 9s. I actually need those, but I'll give this away. And yeah, but I gave everything else away. I even gave a Mark 5 stun gun, so I don't care. If I don't need it at this moment, I'll give it away. I don't care, because everyone gives me my donations when I ask for it. Like if I say I want to do this or that, they're really good. The guild is really good about coming to your rescue and giving you exactly what you need. So I'll request these. This is something that I don't want to have to farm for, those Mark 8s. So there we go. Let's see. There are some events. Grand Arena. So let's do that in a second. I do want to go in and show Grand Arena. Obviously, the Grand Arena battles are in a couple hours, like I think 5 hours or something. But yeah, I got to use this stupid capital ship. I got my capital ship at level 45 and Mace at 4 stars, level 50, gear 6. So my capital ship is trash. So it comes down to, do I have the right ships to be able to, are my rebel ships by themselves strong enough to blast through and win this and get me my 15 shards? Because by the way, I now have 2 7-star ships. I've got my Akbar 7-star, yeah, the home one, and I have the Thrawn's capital ship Chimera. Yep. So really, actually very excited about that. I want to get Executrix because I believe the Executrix is definitely worth it. Let's go ahead and take some protection off everybody. It's also going to make my ships hit harder, and that's important right now. Boom. There we go. Very nice so much. All right. That was stupid.
When you do that, your ships go hard.
Boom. Get out of here. Oh, man.
They go hard. I go hard.
Let's target lock. Nope. 3 or 4 live streams have been perfect. We've had 0 issues whatsoever. But today we do have a little bit of back and forth between YouTube and OBS. So YouTube and OBS are fighting a little. So I apologize in advance if throughout this stream you've seen any choppiness. I think the audio is always good, but every once in a while we get stuck in weird positions. Like, you see us like this the whole time and we're just talking, but we're in the same position. And anyway, so I apologize if that happens. Let's see how close I am to getting, oh, you know what?
80s movies ending credit scenes.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm getting him. I'll get him to 7 stars naturally through this event. That'll happen over the next, 4 months or so, 5 months. Yeah. And I'm not worried. And endurance, I think, has sort of a place. There was that previous meta before the Houndstooth, or before the Millennium Falcon, where endurance had that timeout. And I'll tell you, that was the worst ship meta ever. Ship battles took absolutely forever to win, 4.5 minutes, and sometimes you would time out. You wouldn't even lose anyone. It would just be super protection versus super protection with retribution, everybody just smashing each other. It was a nightmare. Not enough teeth, in the battle. So that was a mess.
I like pew-pewing just as much as the next guy, but when you pew-pew for almost 7 full minutes, it gets a little old.
Yep. All right, let's look at where I am at. 35-3. So I think ships, I haven't dropped it all, of course. So, someone kicked me out of first so everybody else could rotate in, but I don't really drop there ever. So, lowest I've dropped since I got up to the top when I was using Geos was like 8th place, because Geos were good back then. My arena 35, I can do an arena battle. The arena is interesting. Oh, Vader Nation. He's a part of our guild. He joined our guild. Nice. Yeah, I got a couple of people from our team to join. Vader Nation has got basically the exact same team as me. He's progressing identical almost, with the exception that he's way further ahead for Darth Revan. He spent a little to get a few characters 7-starred already that are farmable. Nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't want to miss Darth Revan the next time he comes out.
Sometimes it's all right.
Yeah. So 20, let's see. I don't even know who Dart Power is. So I guess I'll shoot for that. Try not to hit people in my guild.
He was going for dark power.
Yeah. I was going for the dark essence.
Hey, Andrew Cox, what's up?
What up, brother? That's my literal brother, like in real life, brother.
Brother of the same mother.
Yeah, brother from the same mother. And let's jump and kill. And let's go ahead and whittle down some more. Yay, go for Bastila. That'll help you. Let's go ahead and kill him again. Let's make sure that he uses the heal. We're going to start whittling down Basti. I hate that they bury my Yoda in the back. They said they were going to fix that a long time ago and did for a while. There he goes. All right, bring him back. Let's smack him around a little bit. Critical hit immunity. Don't really need that. All right. Dang it. And heal. Stupid.
Darn mirror matches.
Oh no, yeah, that's just the way it works. All right. Back to Basti. Let's go ahead and prime my Yoda, who's got all of his buffs showing because I can't select him very hardly at all. He's like impossible to select. Right now, what I'm doing is oh, they finally killed one of my characters.
Why did it take me that long to realize they don't have General Kenobi that's Ezra in his place? Wow. Slow this morning.
Oh, General Kenobi is so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Well,
Like,
that's why I go up against a team like that. They don't have him? All right, it's a chance.
well, I would have gone against any team that had even General Kenobi, but
All right.
the idea was try and not hit somebody that's in my guild. Oh, I guess I'll be killing Revan. Let's do that, and then let's go over here.
Side note.
Yep. And now a lot of people will say, why are you not going for him? Let's do ability block. Because it is just so much easier. Bam, goodbye. Almost 80k. He's all by himself. He has no help. He can't call assists. He's ability blocked. And casually, this has only been 2 minutes into the game, and I'm casually playing. And now I can increase his cooldowns, and yada, yada, yada. He's dead.
Now I can just... there we go.
So I like to take out Bastila because Basti puts the positive buff over his head that battle meditation, and battle meditation gives them basically 100% counter. I mean, I know it's not 100%, but it feels like 100%. It just says increased counter chance. I'm like, increased counter chance, like plus 85% counter chance. And then, of course, if they have Retribution from Ezra or from General Kenobi, that makes it difficult. You see, I get into... Yeah. To get into the top 20 is difficult now because I've got, Malik's. Not everybody has Malik. Obviously, Trushka doesn't. I can still beat Trushka. Mayhem's Gear 13. If we look, though, there's a lot of Malik's. Funny enough, we've got some Revens up there, which is kind of cool. But, I mean, look at this Revan team. By the way, his speeds on this team are crazy. Let's see what his Revan is rolling speed-wise. I know he always goes first. 306. With that team, he's 346. So that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty good. He's part of the Mandalore team, and then like Jagged Dre, Darth Vincis or whatever. They've got Malik like 2 Zetas, 5-star Gear 11. So this is kind of like Lord Biddy. Lord Biddy, Gear 13s. The Gear 13s are difficult because I don't have enough gunpowder, firepower to kill their Maliks and their Basilisk on Fallen in time. And then all of a sudden it just starts going south. It's like, you're dead, you're dead. They're like giving out death certificates left and right. Yeah, and so I mean, you can look at this. Just Darth Revens, and then a couple of people, with a little Jedi Knight Revan sprinkled in. There are a couple of these guys in the top 20 that do this team right here with the Newt. And I gotta be honest, it's easy for the Sith Empire to kill this team, but for all of the Jedi Knight Revens, this team does very well killing Jedi Knight Revan teams. I have a difficult time killing this team, and I have exactly how to kill this team properly down to a science. So with Jedi Knight Revan, that is. And I win about 50 to 70% of the time, but I lose 30 to 50% of the time. Much health and protection.
Obviously, you like ships.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a Revan show. It's a Revan feast. There's another one, Gungan. Yep. And it's Darth Revens and then Jedi Knight Revens. And there's a Padme. Edel used to run Night Sisters. And he switched from his Night Sisters because the Revens kill Night Sisters really easily. He switched to Padme team, and he does decent, top 50, and ships he's still using Geos. That's smart. And so, yeah, his Padme team's pretty good. That's pretty neat. And pretty neat. So, yeah, that's my top 50. So, with that said, you guys want me to show you my defense on Grand Arena?
There was one question that got buried a while ago, and I think it went something along the lines of asking why your Kira, in your pillar system, why Kira was so early on, and if that's changed, because you thought there was some debate going on there about that.
So when you first start, you're progressing kind of slow, and you need to be able to farm whatever's available, and it's hard to unlock those higher end nodes. Not only do you have to be a certain level, you got to be like level 60 to do certain nodes. So I tried to put in characters that you would need eventually, and B would help you with other side events. By the way, there is a smuggler side event that I still need her for, and I need to finish farming her. I put her in right away, and I started developing her. So let's go look at her really quick, because I did suggest that, and I did myself start farming her. You can see she's 4-star Gear 8. But then she is, unfortunately, she's Cantina. And so all of a sudden I was ahead of my development of where I thought I was going to be. And I was like, wow, I'm already there. Well, I've got to start doing this Cantina character. And all of a sudden she started getting put on pause. So early on, I was doing exactly what my pillar system said, and I was going for her, and I need her. In fact, every time that smuggler event comes around, and I need to go into that smuggler event, it says you need 5 people to do that last tier. So I need L3 and Kira to get maxed out, or at least 7 stars, so I can take them into that tier. And both of them, I mean, L3 is good for ships, and Kira is good for the smuggler event. Plus, she's good as a leader. She's the only leader for smugglers. If you want to build a smuggler team in Grand Arena, and I did and do want to do that. A lot of people are like, why'd you have Talia in your pillar 1, because you don't have your Talia maxed out? Well, I used Talia early game a lot, and so there was no wasted gear on her. And you can see those are my 5 Night Sisters. Now, the only one I'm going to do outside of these top 5 is Mother Talzin, of course. But I've been just focusing on basically getting these guys to 7 stars. And then once I get them 7 stars, I will then focus on gearing them all up. And so the zombie and spirit, gearing them up was just like, they kept glowing with like crappy gear, and I just kept putting gear in them, and I just all of a sudden they were like gear 7 and 8, and I'm like, whoops, you know. So that kind of happened by accident. Surprisingly, their early gear is really easy, but you can see Asajj and Daka I've like left, you know, level 1, haven't used them yet, and so my Night Sisters are kind of sitting. I don't want to put a bunch into them right now because I'm focused on 2 teams. But anyway, you're at 3.2 million GP on your account. And you have to set 6 defense and have 6 offense. So you have to have 12 total teams, and you're going to million. So there's like a 1.3 million difference. And I have to set 5 defense and 5 offense. That is only 2 teams, 1 on offense and 1 on defense, less than you. And you've got over 1 million more GP. I'm like, what? Like, so I have a whole nother million GP I get to grow before I have to do an 11th and 12th team. So they are stretching me crazy. Now I know who I'm going against. I'm going against a guy who's got Darth Revan and Malik. So that's fun. Yeah, right.
When it comes to my Grand Arena setup, if you're actually going off those top 60, I guess I can somewhat feel good about the fact that I'm generally put up against guys more powerful than I am. They're 3.4 to 3.5. Sometimes at one time I got set up with a guy that's got 4 million GP. So I guess my top 60 characters are pretty BA.
Yeah, your top 60 are pretty amazing. But this guy, his name is Just Flow. So shout out to Just Flow. He's probably going to beat me, and that's okay. Although I'm going to fight. I am going to fight for sure. I'm not going to just roll over. But he's got Malik. He's got a 5-star Gear 9 Zated Malik, Darth Revan, and he even has Sith Trooper in that team now. Obviously, he's in a tough thing, but you look at his ships, you can see his best ships aren't even maxed out. I mean, he's got a 3-star ship. It's just, I don't know, his ships are, yeah, he's just obviously not focused on ships, but he is focused on arena, and he's got Malik, so that means he has Revan and Darth Revan, enough that he was able to get Malik, which means he's got 2 maxed out, the top 2. Yeah, the top 2 teams in the game, he's got totally and completely maxed out. In fact, when we go to inventory, he's got quite a few characters. He's got his Commander Luke, which is a legendary. He's got Yoda, which is a legendary. He's got Rey, which I don't have. He's got Rey. I don't have Rey. He's got Palpatine, who's a legendary. He's got Kylo Ren unmasked and a bunch of First Order that like gear bounty hunters. So he's got that for defense. I mean, he's got a Gear 10 Darth Nihilus with Scion. They're both 7 stars. He's got R2D2. He's got BB-8. I don't have BB-8. He's got Malik. He's got a Night Sister team with a Gear 10 zombie, which is what you need for the reviving, which I don't have. He's got General Grievous team and Separatists teams at Gear 9 and Gear 8 and 9 and stuff, which I don't have. So yeah, yeah. I mean, what?
I like what Mario Ramos said here. It's not that he pizzaed when he should have French fried. He's just going to have a bad time.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, props to him for having everything he has, because he's got like everything, basically every major character from Jedi Training Rey and BB-8 and R2D2 and CLS and Yoda and Emperor Palpatine and Thrawn and both Revans and I know, and we're not doing ships, but if you look at his ships, like this is atrocious. Like he doesn't have his Geos at all. Like this is trash. He doesn't even have his like Phantom 2 at all. Like the characters are like level 1. Ghost is, not very good. His TIE Advanced is okay. His Emperor's Shuttle is okay. Slave 1 is okay, but the rest is like TIE Silencer is okay. The rest is just trash. Like, yeah, it's just trash. He's only got 5-star capital ships, like 5-star capital ships. So I don't know. So anyway, he obviously does not care about ships, which is his prerogative, but he has basically everything you could ever have in this game for legendary and heroic and, all those top end teams. I looked every single thing that you'd want to have. He has the only thing he didn't have that I was looking for was C3PO. And I looked and his Ewoks are trash. And so I'm sure he's going to focus on his Ewoks soon enough so he can get his C3PO. But if he even cares, it doesn't look like he cares yet. C3PO, I'm going to show you my defense because I can't set his defense, my guess. I mean, you got to set your defense. He's only got 4 hours to set his defense. So I'm kind of showing my hand, and that's okay. Honestly, like I said, I don't think I'm going to win because I've given him the opportunity to just steamroll me. I set my defense, and I have to have offense to chew through his teams, and I just don't have many good teams. I only have about 6 teams worthy of even being called a team. So I went ahead and set my bounty hunters here, and I've got a really unique team that, Mission and Zalbar are kind of their own thing. They do their own thing. And then I've got the 3 Imperial troopers, and they're kind of protected by Mission and Zalbar. Now, what he has is can just walk over all of this. And when you start to see the other teams, you're going to go, my God, Warrior, what are you doing? So I did put my Gear 10, 5-star Gear 10 Wampa with this team just to kind of give it a little more bite. So that way he kind of has to put something more than trash against it. And then, it's just all I've got left over is just crappy rebels. So crappy rebels. And then, crappy rebels. This is literally my my Rogue One. So I mean, this is super easy. He can beat this, not a problem. I mean, really easy. Yeah, well, he's gonna get a full clear, and he's gonna kick my butt on that for sure. So then it comes down to what am I using? What am I using on offense? So here's my crappy teams. I've got 3 crappy filler rebel teams. And then I have 2 okay, like level B teams for defense. But for offense, I really need to be able to cut through Darth Revans. I've got to cut through, Night Sisters potentially, Old Republic. Man, I need everything I can do to get through it. So the first is I've got Revan, obviously, he's my arena team. I do have Ezra in there. Ezra is actually better on offense than he is on defense. So I use him on offense. He's going to help give me a little more bite, hopefully, to get through a team like a Darth Revan team. And I have him on speed, so I should get the first jump, and I should be able to take out his Basilisk on Fallen and then slowly work on the rest of the team over that. And then I've got my Geos. My Geos actually can kill Old Republic, First Order. So he's got Old Republic and First Order. They also kill Night Sisters. So I know this team can kill 3 of the teams he will probably have on defense. So I needed them. Then I have a Sith team. I've got the Triumvirate. They're not very good. Actually, my Triumvirate's pretty trash. In fact, Scion pretty much always dies. But I've got them. And then I have Emperor Palpatine and then a Gear 9. I'm using her now. So I'm using a Basti.
Can't always rely on your first and second stream. You got to have special teams come in there sometimes. This could be a special teams team for you. So
yeah. So I've got them, of course. And then I wanted to do a Rebels team and a Galactic Republic team. My Rebels team, the top 3 obviously are great with CLS, Han, and Chewie. All Gear 11, all Zetas. Well, not all Zetas, but I mean, they're all Zeta'd with a Zeta. And then I got a Gear 10 Biggs, and he's kind of dodgy. So he calls assists, and he's kind of dodgy. So he was a good plug and play filler character. And then of course a tank, Old Ben, he's decent. And then a Galactic Republic team. And my Galactic Republic team could take out basically about anything. Might even be able to take out his Darth Revan team, but more than likely not. Somebody
recommended putting him on defense.
Yeah, and I was going to, and I did. I actually had him in my defensive lineup, but then I couldn't come up with a 5th team at all. Like physically had no 5th team for that. So I had to pull them out of defense, put them into offense, and then just put a crap filler team into defense. I'd rather them steamroll me than me not be able to participate on offense. I could set all of this on defense. He would still beat all of it if he keeps his best teams, and then I would be beat and couldn't even win a single battle. And in this game now, they give you feats, and all these feats give you currency, and I have to be selfish, and I have to get that currency as much as possible, especially on a free-to-play account. So I have no choices. I have to set trash on defense as best trash as I can, and then keep what I believe to be my best chance at winning against what I have. Now, if he didn't have Darth Revan and didn't have like a Revan, like I would have then changed my strategy and stuck my Revan and Padme on the front and blocked him. And I probably would have won with some mediocre offensive teams. So, strategy depends on who you're going against. I'm going against somebody who has every major team in the game that you could ever farm for. Everything. Jedi Knight Revan teams, Separatist teams, Night Sister teams, Resistance teams, First Order teams. Like, he's got it all. So I kind of had to give myself a chance. So that's what I did. And unfortunately, this is all I have. These are my top 10 teams in my entire roster. And can I win with these? Ask yourself that question. Can I win with these teams? The answer is no, absolutely not, no. Now, the only team that I thought about keeping was possibly my bounty hunters, because bounty hunters can clean up a Malak really easily. And I could have, if I would have gone in and maybe won, except for Malak survived, I could have taken these guys in and killed Malak pretty easily. So I thought about that, but I got to have something on defense. I have to make him earn a little bit of it, right? So I had to put something sort of decent. But, my Night Sisters aren't there yet. They're a good defensive team. My First Order aren't there yet. They're a good defensive team. My Old Republic aren't there yet. They're a good defensive team. Ewoks are a potentially good defensive team. I'm working on them. So yeah, it's just, yeah. Anyway, so I have to give myself a shot because this is what I'm going against. This guy's super focused. There's no ships. They've given me a handicap. If we were doing ships, I think, he would not be able to clear my ships node, and I would be able to clear his ships node, which would give me a distinct advantage for putting so much GP into my ships. I mean, people wonder, like, why does Scissorman have so much GP? Look at this. Ships GP, 900,000. I'm barely at 1 million GP for characters. So if I was just doing character GP, I mean, I'm at 1 mil. That's good. That's solid. I've done really well for myself. But I have nearly 1 million in ship GP, and it doesn't matter. Now, it puts me against everybody that has 2 million GP, but it doesn't actually use ships, so it actually pushes me up the thing. And so if those people didn't focus on ships, their character GP is 1.5, 1.8 million, which means they've got better teams. And I know the team says you've got 10 teams offensive and defense. 10 times 5 is 50. They're taking my top 50 versus these people's top 50, but they have to take from the pool of people who are in this 2 million GP bracket. So, I don't know. It's going to be difficult, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm just kind of explaining, I guess. So I'm going to give it a shot, man. I'm going to try and kick this guy's Darth Revan and Revan's butts. And I'm interested to see what he does on defense versus offense. Does he keep his teams to chew through all of this and put some of his like First Order, Old Republic stuff on defense? Because if he does that, I've got a good chance of full clearing. Or is he going to put Darth Revan and Revan on defense? If he does that, I may or may not clear. And if I don't clear, he'll win. And if I do clear, I might win because he might have lower teams to go against my lower teams and may not get as clean a win. I don't know. So there's kind of a lot of different thought processes for that. So that's Grand Arena. Those are the events. That's that. We're at about an hour and 15 minutes. I think it's time for story time. Yeah, story time. So are you ready for story time?
Actually, I'm not. I'm running a little bit low on some Joe here. So if one of you guys out there live pretty close, want to go grab me a quick cup of coffee before we start the story time, that'd be great. Just somebody who's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, someone's like 200 credits. Ouch. Joel asked about The Last Jedi and stuff. So I got all my...
If you don't want to hear my opinion on John Wick, you don't want to hear it on The Last Jedi.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, we're going to do story time. I basically got all my dailies done. My dailies are done. I've got some guild stuff to do in a little bit. I got Grand Arena in 4 hours. I've got some daily climbing to do and stuff, but all in all, we're pretty much done with all that. So we're going to go into story time. So I tell people all the time, about like that you're a warrior, that everyone's a warrior, that it's not just me. I call myself warrior because the adversity that I've overcome in my life, and that everybody has to overcome adversity in their life. It's what makes them a warrior. And so everybody has these warrior moments in their life where they have to step up and they have to step out, and they have to be bold, and they have to be brave, and they have to do something that makes them super uncomfortable, and they have to push through. And that is where they then become defined as a warrior. And there are women warriors and men warriors, and it's amazing to see people in those moments just step up. Situations where a car rolls over and 10 men and women run over and flip over a car all fast to save the life of the people inside. That's warrior spirit, right? And we all are warriors. So the story that's coming from is actually not from my specific life, although it is, but it actually comes out of my daughter's and my wife's life. My daughter, my youngest daughter, at the time was 11, and she's a warrior, and this was one of those defining warrior moments in her life. So we lived out in the country. We just recently moved back into town, but we lived out in the country. And when we lived out in the country, we had, cats and dogs and chicken. We had up to 18 chicken, 20 chicken, a lot of chicken out there. We had a rabbit cage with rabbits, a big cage. This wasn't a small cage. It was like a rabbit terrarium kind of thing. It was a huge thing for the rabbit palace. And so we had rabbits, and we had a couple of rabbits, and they were super soft and super nice and cuddly. And we actually still have rabbits. So anyway, good ending to the story, you guys.
It works. They're not soft and cuddly.
Yeah, no, they're we still have rabbits. We still have cats and dogs. We just got rid of the chicken, thank goodness. That was something nobody wanted to do anymore. Got tired of butchering. So anyway, long story short, my daughter had a warrior moment in her life when she was 11. She was at home, and my wife was at home, and we had recently lost one of our cats. And one of our cats went missing. And this was a really wily outdoor cat that knew how to take care of himself. He used to often kill things out there that were much bigger than him, and he was just very active. And so we trusted that letting him outside for an hour or two, he'd come back in. Yeah, he was kind of an MMA kitty. And so he had that rear naked choke that was, to die. But anyway, so he disappeared, and we were like, man, there must be something outside. Maybe coyotes got him, or, maybe a wandering cougar, mountain lion maybe came through and got him. Maybe it was a really big eagle, a really huge eagle. I mean, they can take down small deer. They could have taken him from a distance, but I mean, most of the time he could see and hear and, run. So I'm like, we're just guessing. We're like, maybe a snake, I don't know, something big, a constrictor, I don't know. So we were just guessing. We couldn't figure it out. Well, then my wife went outside that morning, and she went outside to check on the chicken and check on the cat or the dogs and check on the rabbits. And she went outside, and she saw a very large bull snake. Now, in our area, basically the number one type of snake is a bull snake. And a bull snake doesn't kill by biting and poisoning. It's a constrictor. And constrictors, if you don't know, I think most people do, but if you don't know, they wrap their target and constrict until they're lifeless, and then they swallow them whole, and then they move on. And this was a very large snake. I would say from, tip to tip, he was probably somewhere in the ballpark of around 5 feet in length. So this was a large, very large bull snake. And my wife saw it and immediately realized the rabbit were going to be in danger, because it was right outside the rabbit cage. And the bull snake could get into the cage and then get out. And so she kind of grabbed a pole. And this was kind of a warrior moment for my wife too, but she grabbed a pole, it was like a broom handle that didn't have a broom on it. So it was like a wood stick or whatever. And she ran over to the snake to try to hit it in the back of the head, or to stop it, or to pin it, down. And as she went over to it, it bolted right through the cage and immediately wrapped up one of the rabbits, wrapped up the rabbit and started squeezing, and the rabbit's eyes were starting to kind of bulge. And it was and the rabbit's you could tell the rabbit was like literally like dying very quickly. And so she grabbed the tail and started pulling it back. And of course it was still constricted around the rabbit. And so she's dragging the rabbit out of the cage by the snake's tail and started using the stick to try to unfurl the snake, but it wasn't working. And she was like hitting it on the head. Like she pinned the head down with the pole, but she couldn't get it unwrapped. And of course the constrictor's constricting, it will kill the rabbit. And so my wife realized she was outmatched, that she couldn't like unfurl it and save the rabbit's life. So she screamed out to my daughter. She was like, daughter, come on. I need your help. And she was screaming from outside and my daughter was inside. This was a weekend. And my 11-year-old at the time was 11, heard mom screaming. And my mom said, bring a knife. Now, my 11-year-old had an opportunity in that moment to be scared, to quit, to hide, to call 911, to not do anything, to start crying, to break down, to make bad decisions because we're stressed out and we're at like a level 10. Her heart rate was probably 180. And mom was saying, you need to grab the largest knife you can find. And my daughter, warrior spirit, went up to the kitchen, grabbed the largest, thickest butcher knife. That was the sharpest butcher knife she could find, the heaviest butcher knife she could find. It was a good one. And she ran downstairs. I mean, this was literally, my wife started calling for her, and within like 5 seconds, she was running out the back door. And she ran over without being asked anything, without instruction or without even handing the knife over. She looked down and this was her baby rabbit. These were her rabbits. Like she loved these rabbits. She took care of these rabbits every day. She fed them, watered them. She held them for hours every day and pet them. And she saw her family being murdered. I mean, that's how she saw it. And without question, she took the knife and she immediately hacked and then started to slice the snake in half right at the base of where the rabbit was. Just started hacking, and within like 2 seconds had cut the snake in half. And my wife pulled that tail. Yeah. And my wife pulled the tail back because she was holding it already. And so whoop, like had the whole freaking, like a snake. It was like 3 feet long, but she's like, oh crap. And they looked over and the snake was wrapped around the rabbit, still let go of the rabbit and then slithered off, like the 2-foot top part of the snake, like slithered off into a hole and eventually died in the hole, but slithered off and died. And Annabelle grabbed her rabbit. They took her inside and everything. And good story. The rabbit totally survived that situation, completely full recovery. And we think now that's the snake. Yeah. We think now that's the snake that possibly killed our cat because it was very huge. I mean, about 5 feet, very large bull snake, a constrictor. And we think that he possibly wrapped O'Malley up because O'Malley was kind of a curious cat. He probably saw the snake, wanted to go see him, and then whoop, too late, wrapped up, and then off he went. So the snake was a little bit bold, but we were able to kill him and save the rabbits' lives. And to this day, we've still got the rabbits in the backyard and all that. So kind of a fun story, but it's just a really, really cool story of my daughter at the time, 11, having that warrior spirit, that moment in time where she had to make a decision. What do I do? How do I do it? How do I get through it? And that was her decision. Grab the biggest, sharpest, thickest knife and go save her rabbit. And without question, she went down there and she did her duty, like due diligence. Like, I mean, how many 11-year-olds want to hack a snake in half in a moment of stress and anxiety?
Let alone get close to it.
Yeah, let alone get close to it or touch it. And like, but in that moment, it was all about instinct. And she had that warrior instinct, that warrior mentality. So pretty awesome. I was pretty excited to hear that story when I got home that day. And seeing that snake tail was like, holy cow. Grande Verga says, did you cook the snake? No, it laid on the ground. They were kind of shocked. They came back inside with the rabbits and I got home and we talked. And when I went back out there, I saw the snake was still laying out there. And eventually it started to stink. And so it was like kind of too late. Day late, dollar short. But pretty crazy. So you all have either the warrior spirit in you, or you have the potential to be the warrior that you know you can be. So just know that in life, you got these situations, these circumstances, and being a warrior is nothing more than facing that adversity head on, no matter how scared you are, overcoming that fear and just pushing through. So that's where the whole warrior spirit comes from. Everybody has that inside of them, whether they access it or not, it's another thing, but having that warrior spirit and pushing through. But so that was a pretty fun story. We're going to get out of here. We've been doing this for about an hour and a half. And yeah, props to your daughter. Ronald Fonseca says, props to your daughter. Yeah, for sure. I was really proud in that moment as a father. I was like, yes, she's a warrior. You know what I mean? She hacked that snake in half without question, man. Like she just whack, cut right through it. And so my wife was super proud, and I was super proud. And I was just like, man, she's got it. She's definitely got it. So that's cool. Well, appreciate everybody coming on. Sure Shot, I appreciate having you on. And
got to make mention, I did happen to come over right after the event took place. So when I walked out to the backyard, I don't remember what I was there for, but walking out in the back and seeing blood all over the walkway there and half a snake, I was like, what happened here? You're like, oh, yeah, something. And you were like busy with something else and kind of like, yeah, this whole thing happened. It was like a whirlwind of things. I was just like going, all right, Annabelle, good job.
What's craziest is what's with all the stories of blood on the floor in my house? Like, right? You know what I mean? Like everybody keeps coming over and things keep dying at my house. Like it's not a normal thing. It's just these are the stories that make us or whatever. But well, I appreciate having you on, man.
Yes, thank you for having me. Got to throw a shout out to Graham Varga for your comment before that. I don't mind the Wandering Cougar either. I'm kind of popular with him, but that's a different story altogether. So anyways, this was Sure Shot.
And this is Warrior, and I appreciate you guys coming on. Keep your gaming on. Warrior and Sure Shot out.